Good morning, traders. Thought I'd take some time to chat with you about trading different time frames, but not in the approach that's standard. I'm going to take it from more of a mathematical approach. So feel free to pass on to the next YouTube video or Instagram post. Don't really care. So lots of traders talk about trading their favorite time frame. Other traders talk about how it's impossible to trade certain time frames. And this is really just a bias within their own personal cognitive ability. Every single time frame is doing the same thing, but the timing's off. It's a cognitive ability that you will start to develop once you start trading. And really, your favorite time frame is the time frame that you make the most amount of money at. Or if you have a mentor, you're going to try to trade that same time frame because you're trying to cookie cutter the trading approach. So from a mathematical approach, why doesn't it matter what time frame you're trading? Well, let's look at something called the counter set. So what you're looking at now is called the counter set. So if you look at this first line here, can you see that? What they've done, it's a mathematical equation. It has something to do with fractals. So they're simply removing this part of the line, which produces a gap here. And you simply do the next removal of a third of the line here, and you get this part here, right? You do it again. If you remove this part of the line, you get this line. And if you keep doing it, you get that line. So what's happening? It's an infinite concept. It's an infinite concept within a finite world. This will happen to a range that's larger than the universe itself. So what if we do it in reverse? This part here is what? That's nothing but a subset of this part. Well, what's this? That part is nothing but a subset of this part. And if you go all the way up, they're just subsets. Doesn't that sound very similar to trading? If you're trading a 1 hour candle or time frame, and you switch to a 30-minute time frame, it's just a subset of another time frame. This is just a mathematical approach to explaining something to you. Here, let me try something else with you. So look at this one. Here's another geometrical structure. If you start off with the triangle and you remove the center part of it and you add another triangle head on the top of it, you get this. Do the same thing for every single line or subset of a line, and you'll get something that looks like this. This is another infinite pattern. So this very complicated structure is nothing but a subset of this structure, which is a subset of this structure, which originated from this structure. Are you following me? You know, the stock market, it's just a black box spitting out numbers. This is the same thing. You find some type of equation that works with you. And if it works with you, you continue to use it. Here, let's try something a little bit more. Here, I'll give you an equation, okay? So the stock market is nothing but an infinite cycle of different concepts because it's nothing but numbers. So there's something called the Mandelbrot concept or equation. So if we were to draw a box here, oops, let's go over here. If we drew oh, come on. If we were to draw a box here, that could be the stock market, okay? to the stock market, and the output of the stock market goes back into the stock market. Okay? It's just numbers. Think of it as numbers. So how could we represent this equation? It's very simple. So the Mandelbrot set says that your function would look something like this. If you wanted to use a Mandelbrot concept, which is an infinite concept, which is what the stock market is, right? The stock market, the output of the stock market, it's the perception of what's going to happen, which is fed back into the stock market. So that's why you've got weird stocks just rising for no apparent reason. It doesn't matter. It's what everyone thinks. So if this is the function, okay, does this make sense to you guys? This is a feedback function. The output of the function is sent back into the input. Right? You can this is a complex number, but you can think of it as a coordinate system. If you're really into it, it's a coordinate system with imaginary and real numbers and all that good stuff. But this may not. Here's another way to write it. All right, your function and your output is the input of your result. All right, it's the same equation. So the output, all right, goes into the input, right, and this equation here represents this concept there. So where does that leave us? It leaves you with an infinite amount of possibilities. But if it's so infinite, why does it seem like there's such a small amount of people that can utilize the stock market and actually make consistent money from it? And this is why the whole time frame concept is disturbing to lots of people, because this is the Mandelbrot set. The equations that I showed you before, if you continue to do it for the imaginary and real numbers and for an infinite amount of cycles, you come up with a structure like this. This is basically the stock market, okay? I need you to imagine with me. This is the stock market, and I'm telling you to make money on this stock market. I'm telling you to find something in here that you can make money with. Find some type of pattern. So you go in there and you zoom in for some pattern, and you find something, and you think there's a pattern here, right? It kind of looks like it's there's repeating patterns. It kind of looks like here, right? So you think you're getting close to it, so you zoom in a little further, and what happens? By the way, this Mandelbrot set is another fractal. It's a geometrical structure that is infinite. There are no limits. There are no boundaries to it. It goes on and on and on. It's larger than the universe itself. So instead of looking for, you guys are stuck looking for all these things here, when you really need to be looking for this. Remember this thing here? It's nice and basic. There's no difference between this and what I showed you before. But the masses aren't looking for this very simple counter set. They're looking for that very juicy looking geometrical pattern that I showed you before. They're all looking for this here, because that looks more enticing. What you need to do is that you need to find something between the two worlds. Find something that's not so simple, but it's not as computational aggressive as the entire Mandelbrot set. So don't become overwhelmed with time frames. Find a time frame that works for you. And remember that all time frames can be utilized because they're all subsets of each other. Just like I showed you with all those different shapes in a matter block and the contours. Try to find something that gives you a good foundation, and then you can build off of that. Look for the triangle. Look for consistency, and then build off of that to the star. And before you know it, you'll be doing very complicated solutions in a very simplistic way. From the outside, people will be thinking you're doing complicated techniques, but really, because you have an understanding of everything, you'll be seeing a triangle when everyone else is seeing a very complicated geometrical structure. Remember, all subsets, all time frames, they're just subsets of subsets. And the reason why some time frames are harder to trade than others, it's not because of the time frame. It's because of you. You've built yourself. You've been trading in an environment that your cognitive ability has become accustomed to that time frame. So it's you. It's not the time frame. So hopefully I haven't lost anyone. It's a little abstract, but enjoy the rest of your Sunday and good luck trading this week.